to me, it feels like the unwind from this fiat regime and what was set up and continued through this World War era. I think it's unwinding fascinatingly. And it's a great time to be working on Bitcoin. Both there's money to be made, there's opportunity in starting businesses, but I also feel like I'm contributing to the world and playing my small role in restoring, prosperity to our species and hopefully contributing to a new era of human flourishing. So I feel great. Sun's coming out in Chicago. I'm eating a lot of ribeyes.
That's great. Chicago ribeyes, man. I've got such fond memories of them. Some of the best in the world.
Midwest.
Yep, absolutely. It's the capital of ribeyes.
100%. Yeah, it's one of the rare things we're good at is agriculture, commodities, and meat.
Yeah, although I guess I may have just annoyed a lot of my Texan fan base. No offense, Texans, but your steaks are great too. All of American steaks are great. I mean, honestly, it might be when people talk about divine providence for Americans, I think practically speaking, that's just the steak. Really, that's the divine providence. Americans have the best steak. That's how God blessed you.
Well, what's interesting is, not that this is a political podcast. For some, this is redundant, but on Twitter, I need to make sure everyone at the margins understands there's no yield with this product. I mean, it has such a awful history full of scammers. There's no yield for depositors. Depositors just get a very beautiful Bitcoin wallet that's fully reserved. And it's a 50% LTV collateralized loan. So it's over collateralized. So you get to draw half of your Bitcoin wealth out in cash. And we offer a 12-month term. And there's two style of loans. You can make monthly interest payments for the cheapest version of the product, or we offer a version of the product called payment at maturity. Now, this is what I think is the best version of the product and a genius way to use your Bitcoin wealth is that you don't owe us any money until the end of the loan. You pay the APR plus the principal back after the 12 months. So you don't actually need to pay us on a monthly basis. That's our most popular version of the product. And it allows Bitcoiners to access their Bitcoin wealth without having to sell it and incur a capital gains event. And I think it's a huge deal. I mean, we are already offering Strike in over 100 countries. So and why we serve who we serve. Also, becoming the CEO of 21, an entirely separate company that I co-founded, I wanted the world to know, and especially our customers, that Strike is doing phenomenally well and that starting another company had nothing to do with Strike and me shifting my focus, that I run two big successful companies. That's possible. I don't know who made the rule that you can only start one company. I'm defying that law. People are so shocked for some weird reason. You can just do things. And so I wanted to let the world know, let our customers know we're doing great, extremely profitable, high margin business. We're actually going to announce our Bitcoin treasury within the next week. We're a top 20 holder as far as corporations, Bitcoin treasury. We own thousands of Bitcoin at Strike, and it's a great business. And I wanted to make sure people have confidence in us. It's very second because we buy every day, but call it around 1,500 Bitcoin. So our balance sheet has approaching hundreds of millions of dollars on it. That far exceeds the venture capital money we've raised. And for 75 people, that's not too bad. Extremely profitable business. So as we announced, we'll make anywhere between tens of millions to over $100 million of cash flow this year from our operating company. It's a really interesting business in that the products we sell and the vision and the brand that we have built is very viral. So we don't spend money on marketing at all. All of our customers are acquired organically, which is rare. We've been able to build products in 100 plus countries and acquire customers there without needing to pay a bunch of influencers to tell people to download our stuff, which I think is rare and cool and speaks to the quality of, the vision we're selling. I mean, to be totally candid, it just speaks to how powerful Bitcoin is. It's not that hard to sell something that's growing 50% is a scam. It's bullshit. It's unjust to have these things exist in society. An unprofitable business to me means the company is consuming more from the world than they're producing value to the world. That's bullshit. I did not want to be one of those people. And so we almost took it as a cultural cornerstone for us is we need to be profitable because that's the right thing to do for the world. We want to produce more value for the world than we take from the world. And so just like our hurdle rate internally is Bitcoin. If someone internally comes to me with hey, Jack, I got a really good idea. I want to start a new product. I want to hire a bunch of people. I say, well, is this thing you're going to start going to grow faster than 50% year over year because you're competing against Bitcoin? And usually the answer is no. And so I say, get out of my office, because if you can't outcompete Bitcoin, it's not going to get my time, energy in our balance sheet. Sorry. And so we've built a really strict culture that actually measures future success, not based on a debasing dollar with infinite sloshes of venture capital money in Silicon Valley, but it's measured against Bitcoin. And so we've been very lean. Profitable is your time and energy in an abstracted form. It is the value and the labor and the effort that we all contribute to those around us, abstracted in a market good. That's what money is. If that is, and it measures who owes what to whom at the end of the day. Being profitable means you're delivering more value to those around you than you're consuming from the world. It is quite literally the financial way of saying you're making the world a better place. And so that should be the baseline goal for anyone starting anything, and anything that financially and mathematically isn't making the world a better place shouldn't exist. The free market should punish and crush and make these businesses, these ideas extinct, because it's a net negative to the world. Now, when I was an entrepreneur and I first started out, I didn't understand all this. For those listening, I'm 31 years old. I got into Bitcoin when I was 18. And so a kid, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, trying to wrap my head around what Satoshi had created. And I would say in the last market cycle, I had so much when, what went down with El Salvador and we integrated Lightning with Twitter, I had so much venture capital money thrown at me, Safe. There were a lot of people that liked the attention and liked the headlines that were around me. I didn't have the best people around me. And when the fiat game is amok and the top line revenues don't matter, the bottom line profits actually matter. And that if you give people hundreds of millions of dollars of fiat, they're just going to puke it on marketing, on new products, on hiring a bunch of people. And it was through that experience that I kind of pivoted. I changed the culture and the energy around Strike, what we were trying to do. And since then, it's been a rocket ship. So I'm thankful for those experiences. But for those entrepreneurs out there, hopefully you take it from me and you don't have to live it yourself. Be profitable, which is a moral good for the world. Measure yourself in Bitcoin, know what's best for other people. And you realize that's just you being an asshole. That's not your job. Your job is actually to listen to customers and build for what they want. And when we changed from we're going to try and make this Lightning thing happen as fast as possible to Bitcoiners just want us to build Bitcoin financial services, and who knows better what they want than them? The trick question, nobody. And as soon as I went through this, period with myself, and we just started listening to our customers, Safe, profits were just overflown with profits and growth and positive feedback. And to your point, the market and customers have been our greatest guide. And it's been incredible for us. So anyway, that is a real life story I lived through, is just by listening to the market and being guided by profits, we've become an immensely customer focused business that's found our way into stacking sats and growth and prosperity as a business, and it's a very popular product, I think, for obvious reasons, but it's predominantly this buy sell. And the last thing I think is interesting is you can kind of track what I think people misunderstand is, yes, Bitcoin is for everyone. Yes, I think what's happening in Africa and Latin America is fascinating, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin is competing to store the world's cash balances. And where we've seen the most growth and the highest volume of business is in parts of the world with the largest cash balances. Bitcoin is a wealth transfer. And so in order to track where it's most popular, you should just go where the wealth exists. So our biggest business line is the United States. After that is Europe and the UK. And then after that are a lot of the emerging markets. And so I think it's very validating to see our numbers and see under the hood into our dashboards and realize that this is just a grand wealth transfer going on, and people are recapitalizing with us a year. And that's our fastest growing customer base. So again, we do have customers all over the world. We are seeing growth in these Latin American, African regions that are significantly poorer than Americans. But the fastest growing and the most volume, to Safe's point, it's obvious. It's coming from the people that actually have the cash balances, something that, my mental model personally and extends to both my businesses is that, humans own a little over $900 trillion worth of stuff. That's currencies, nation state debt, real estate, stocks, precious metals, collectibles, art, just all the stuff that we own in the world. And about half of that we've monetized as savings. So people own houses not necessarily to consume them and live in them, but to store and save their wealth. They own art not necessarily to put in on their wall in their living room for their kids to throw spaghetti at, but they're using it as a savings account to store and persist wealth. And I think Bitcoin's competing over that $400 to $500 trillion opportunity. And so if you want to see where the wealth transfer is going to happen, look under the hood to where the 405 get their paychecks in this product. It's these dollars and euros and pounds aren't going through necessarily hyperinflation. They go to the grocery store with it. It's fine. And they also, by the way, no one in America has ever, I find this fascinating, no customer ever has asked us, I don't want you to integrate with my Chase Bank. I want you to integrate Tether for me in California. No one's ever told me that. So I actually don't know who uses USDC or why. Because as an American, I have a Chase account, I have Cash App, I have Venmo, I have PayPal. Why would I need a stable coin? It's beyond me. And as someone who runs a big business in America, I've never heard a customer ask me for that. Now, outside of the developed world, Latin America, Africa, some parts of Eastern Asia, all we get is don't integrate with our banks. Our banks barely work. The technology here sucks. Give me Tether. Instead of the Ghanaian Cedi or the Nigerian Naira or the Turkish Lira and Bitcoin, I want a wallet with Tether and Bitcoin. And no one ever asked for USDC in these markets. It's only been Tether. And I know they're the co-founders now on a separate business with me. So it's going to come off now with a customer in Argentina, actually. This was years ago. But to get us at Strike to the position we are, the customer's on Bitcoin Twitter and is seeing the rhetoric of Bitcoiners calling Tether a shitcoin and prolonging the dollar's hegemony. And I also can sympathize with that as well. I was one of those people that held that opinion. What I would say though is the customer came to me and was like, listen, man, you already support shitcoins. You support the dollar. You support the euro. You support the pound. Those are also shitcoins. And you support shitcoin rails, which is Fedwire, which is ACH, which is SEPA, which is UK faster payments. So you support shitcoin rails and shitcoins already. Who are you to tell me, someone living in Argentina, that you can't support my preferred shitcoin rail, which is Tether? Like, who cares? And go back to the Americans and say, we're not going to support Fedwire, we're not going to support ACH, and we're not going to support your Chase bank account because they're shit coins. Good luck then using Strike and having a smooth experience onboarding Bitcoin. And God forbid you have an emergency medical surgery or you want to buy a house, go screw yourself. And he was like, obviously, that's not the right approach.
Fiat currencies, they're the ones that are able to maintain their cash balances relatively, and so they can get into it. So when the Argentinians and the Turks and the Brazilians stop using their local shitcoin and they have a cash balance with the US dollars, they're going to become much more likely to start getting into Bitcoin because they have cash. And also because on a practical level, they've got an app that allows them to move Tether around. They get the intuitive idea behind private keys, public keys, how you use that. And then it's going to be very easy for them, the same way that they made the upgrade from the Argentine peso to the dollar. Then it's the next step from the dollar to Bitcoin.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and I generally, I'm not too negative about Tether because of that. Because ultimately, I saw people use it. I remember in Lebanon, it was a lifeline for a lot of people. So it's completely callous to just say no, they shouldn't use it. It works.
Yeah, and also, this is now getting the technicals of the fiat system, but Tether doesn't own 10-year treasury bonds. They buy these coupons that need to be refinanced every